Have you ever really looked at a world map? I mean, beyond just the countries and oceans? What if I told you you're not looking at a map, but a giant high-stakes game board? And the mountains, the rivers, the coastlines, those are the rules of the game. Let's dive in.
It's a huge question, right? Why is it that some nations just seem to have all the luck, while others are constantly fighting an uphill battle? You might think the answer is all about politics or maybe economics, and sure, those things matter. But what if the real fundamental answer has been hiding in plain sight this whole time?
That's it. Geography. The very land a country is built on. Its mountains, its rivers, its access to the sea, even its climate, isn't just a passive backdrop for history. Nope, it's often the main character, the thing that's actively shaping a country's advantages, its weaknesses, and ultimately its destiny.
So let's start with the most basic rule of this whole game. The game board itself, the world, is, for the most part, fixed. The mountains aren't going anywhere. The major rivers aren't going to suddenly change course. These are the permanent rules that every single leader and every nation has to play with. And if there's one idea you need to keep in your head through all of this, it's this one. Geography sets the stage for all political, economic, and military actions. It's the bedrock. Every single treaty, every war, every trade route, it's all influenced by the physical reality of our planet. Okay, so how does this actually work in practice? Well, it all starts with that classic rule from real estate: location, location, location. In the world of geopolitics, where you are is often way more important than who you are. This is where you see geography's power in its most raw form. You know, some geographic features are basically like cheat codes in this global game. If you've got a long coastline, you've got a gateway to global trade. If you have rivers that you can actually sail boats on, you've got natural highways for moving goods and armies. And mountain passes, they can be a fortress door you control or a wide-open gate for an invader. And this brings us to one of the most powerful concepts in this whole field, the choke point. Just think of it as a bottleneck. It's a narrow spot where traffic, ships, oil tankers, you name it, is forced to pass through. If you control that choke point, you have a staggering amount of leverage over everyone who needs to get through it. A perfect example is the Strait of Hormuz. A massive chunk of the world's oil supply has to squeeze through this tiny stretch of water, so any country that can control it, or even just threaten to shut it down, is holding a major card that can affect the economies of pretty much the entire world.
But it's not just about these strategic pinch points. The very ground a country sits on can be its greatest strength or its biggest weakness. Natural barriers can turn a nation into a fortress, making it incredibly tough to invade and giving it a permanent security boost.
I mean, just look at India. To its north, you have the Himalayas, this massive, almost impassable wall of mountains. For centuries, that natural barrier has fundamentally shaped India's entire defense strategy and how it deals with its neighbors. That is literally terrain dictating foreign policy. All right, so location is covered, but a nation needs fuel to power its ambitions, right? This next piece of the puzzle is all about what's under the ground and, just as importantly, how you get those resources out to the rest of the world. Having tons of natural resources, we're talking oil, natural gas, rare minerals, can be a direct path to wealth and power. You sell those resources, build up your economy, and then you can use that economic muscle to project your influence across the globe. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Having all the resources in the world doesn't mean a thing if you can't get them to market. That's why controlling the highways of global trade, the sea lanes, the railways, the pipelines, is every bit as crucial as owning the resources themselves. Control of those routes is pure political leverage.
So far, we've kind of been talking about geography like it's a fixed, unchanging board, but there's a wild card in play. One factor that is actively changing the rules of the game as we speak: climate. This is the thing that is literally redrawing the map and creating a new set of winners and losers.
For basically all of human history, the Arctic has been this impenetrable wall of ice, a frozen wasteland. But as that ice melts, brand new sea lanes are opening up, creating incredible shortcuts for global shipping. Suddenly, huge, untapped reserves of oil and gas are becoming accessible. A geographic barrier is transforming into a strategic opportunity right before our very eyes. So, now that you've got these core ideas down, how can you start using them yourself? We want to give you a simple 3-step guide. Think of this as your new geopolitical lens for looking at any country anytime you look at a map. Seriously, the next time you see a news story about some international conflict, pull up a map and ask yourself these 3 questions. Number 1, how does its geography help it or hurt it when it comes to security? 2. What important stuff does it have, and who's in control of it? And 3. What trade routes or choke points is it totally dependent on? Answering these will give you a level of insight that's just incredible.
And it all comes right back to this. This is the big takeaway. Always remember that under all the confusing layers of politics and economics and culture, the simple, solid facts of geography are there, shaping everything that happens on that stage.
And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. The game board that we always thought was fixed, well, it's starting to change. As our climate redraws coastlines and opens up new frontiers, new opportunities and new conflicts are going to emerge. So the real question isn't just about the geography of today, it's who is going to win the geography of tomorrow.